"I came for you," the Duke of Blackden said, and the crowded ballroom seemed to hold its breath, because every soul at the Wenlock ball knew that a duke did not cross a room like that, past the two most beautiful sisters in the county, to stop before the plain one no one ever asked to dance. Marcus Thorne, Duke of Blackden, had eyes for no one but the woman by the window, and he had walked the length of the floor to reach her, and he had said it plainly enough that a dozen fans stopped moving. "I came for you, Miss Prudence. Only for you. I would be honored beyond speaking if you would give me this dance." Prudence Ellison did not at first believe he was addressing her. It was an entirely reasonable mistake. For 4 seasons at every ball in the district, the question put to Prudence by well-meaning matrons and idle gentlemen had been the same. "And how are your lovely sisters? Is Arabella here tonight, and dear Cecily?" She had answered it 1,000 times. She had learned to answer it graciously, and to fetch the lemonade her sisters forgot to want, and to sit against the wall with the chaperones while Arabella and Cecily, golding, dazzling, were spun about the floor by every eligible man in 3 parishes. She was the middle daughter, the quiet one, the clever one, which everyone knew was what you called a girl who was not pretty. She had made her peace with it mostly. She had a good book at home and a way of not minding most nights that no one came for her. No one had ever come for her. And now the Duke of Blackden, the great brooding master of Blackden Hall, who had come north for the season and set every marriageable heart in the county fluttering, who had danced with Arabella twice already and been the object of Cecily's most determined campaign, stood before Prudence with his hand outstretched and his dark eyes fixed on her face, and said it again gently because she had not moved. "Miss Prudence, will you dance with me?" Behind him she could see her sisters. Arabella had gone still with astonishment. Cecily's lovely mouth had opened. Their mother, across the room, had a hand pressed to her breast. The whole ballroom was watching, and Prudence, who had spent 4 years learning to be invisible, found herself suddenly and horribly the most visible person in it. "Your Grace," she said low, I am afraid you have mistaken me. My sisters are, Arabella is just there, and Cecily." "I know exactly who your sisters are," Marcus said. "I have danced with one and been pursued by the other, and they are both very charming. And I have not thought of either of them for a single moment tonight, because I have been watching you across this room for the better part of an hour, and I made up my mind some time ago that I would not leave it without dancing with you, whatever the county chose to make of it." He held her gaze. "I have made rather a spectacle of us both, I'm afraid. I find I don't much care. Will you?" Prudence put a hand in his. She did it because there was nothing else to do that would not have made a worse scene, and because her legs had gone strange, and because, under all the disbelief, a small starved voice inside her had said, just once, wildly, "He means it." He led her onto the floor. The musicians who had faltered found their place again, and the Duke of Blackden danced with the plain Ellison sister in front of the entire assembly, and he danced only with her, and he did not once look over her shoulder for someone better. "You are wondering," Marcus said quietly as they turned, "why?" "I am wondering," Prudence said, recovering some of herself, "whether you have lost a wager, your Grace, and I am to be the joke of it. Forgive me. It is only that this does not happen to me. It happens to Arabella. It does not happen to me, and I have learned to be suspicious of things that do not happen to me, because they usually turn out to be someone's idea of a jest." He had watched her, in truth, longer than the hour he confessed to. Marcus had come to the Wenlock ball with no intention of dancing at all. He had come north out of duty and stayed out of a curiosity he did not entirely trust, the memory of a girl under a copper beech, closing her book to talk to a stranded old farmer. And he had spent the first part of the evening at the edge of the ballroom, half hidden by a pillar, watching to see whether the memory would survive a second look. He had watched Arabella Ellison dazzle a circle of young men. He had watched Cecily maneuver, with real skill, to be always in the path of anyone with a title. And he had watched the third sister carry a cup of lemonade across the room to a chaperone who had not asked for it, and settle beside the old woman, and make her laugh, and then sit quietly against the wall while the dancing went on without her. No one asked her. He had marked it with a slow, growing anger that surprised him, for he was not generally a man who felt much on other people's behalf. Man after man passed her by, Twice a gentleman had crossed the room in what looked, for a moment, like her direction, and each time had veered aside to one of her sisters, and each time Prudence had watched him come and watched him turn away with a composure so complete that it took Marcus a while to understand it was not composure at all but long practice. The face of a woman who had learned to see the veering away coming and to arrange her expression before it arrived, he had thought watching her. She believes it now. She has been passed over so many times that she has begun to think it just. And something in him, some obstinate ducal, deeply unfashionable streak that had made him refuse 3 brilliant matches and cross a whole country on the strength of a single afternoon, had risen up and decided that he would put a stop to it, tonight publicly, in a way the whole county could not misread. Not a quiet word. Not a discreet call. He would walk the length of the floor, past the 2 beauties every other man wanted, and he would ask the plain one to dance, loudly enough that no one could ever again pretend she had been the lesser choice. He had straightened his cuffs. He had stepped out from behind the pillar, and he had crossed the room. Something flickered in Marcus' face, not offense, but a kind of grave sorrow, as though the suspicion itself told him more than he wished to know about her 4 seasons against the wall. No wager, he said. No jest. I give you my word as plainly as a man can give it. Shall I tell you why I came for you? It is not flattering to the rest of this room, so you must not repeat it. I have no one to repeat it to, Prudence said. I am generally the person things are not repeated to. Then listen. 3 weeks ago I came to a garden party at Lord Wenlock's. You were there, though you will not remember me. I was one more dull duke being paraded before the county's daughters. Your sister Arabella talked to me for a quarter of an hour about the weather and her own accomplishments, very prettily. Your sister Cecily arranged to be found beside me at the refreshment table 4 separate times. And you were sitting under the copper beech with a book, quite forgotten by everyone, and an old man had settled beside you, one of the tenant farmers come up to the house on some matter and left stranded and awkward at the edge of the gentry. And you closed your book, and you talked to him for the better part of an hour about his sheep and his rheumatism and his granddaughter's christening, as though he were the most important guest at the party. You made that frightened old man laugh. No one else in that garden so much as saw him. Prudence had stopped dancing. He steered her gently back into the step. I asked afterward who you were, Marcus went on. They told me the middle Ellison girl, the plain one, the clever one, no one to trouble about. And I thought, they have got it entirely backward. I have spent a season being hunted by beautiful women who see a title and a fortune and never once see me. And under a copper beech there was a girl no one was hunting, who did not know a duke was watching, spending her afternoon making a lonely old man feel he mattered. I have thought about you every day since, Miss Prudence. I came north again for one reason, and it was not your sister's. The music was ending. He did not release her hand. I have made no secret of it, you'll notice, he said. I could have called on your father quietly, asked leave to court you behind closed doors, spared you the whole ballroom staring. I chose to cross the floor instead, in front of everyone, and say I came for you loudly, so there could be no mistaking it, and no whispering afterward that Blackden had settled for the plain sister when he couldn't get the pretty ones. I wanted this county to see, once and for all, that you were not overlooked because you were less. You were overlooked because they were fools. I will not have you thought a consolation, Miss Prudence. You are the prize. I merely have the wit to know it, which apparently sets me apart from every man who has watched you sit against a wall for 4 years. Prudence's eyes had filled. She blinked hard, furious at herself, unwilling to weep in a ballroom. You must not say such things, she managed, if you do not mean them entirely. I have been the girl fetched lemonade for too long to survive being made to hope, and then set down again. So if this is kindness, your grace, if you are being generous to the wallflower, I would rather you were cruel. It would cost me less. Marcus Thorne looked at her for a long moment. Then, still holding her hand in front of the entire silent watching ballroom, he raised it to his lips and pressed a kiss to her gloved knuckles. A thing a man did not do lightly, a thing that declared his intentions to a whole county in a single gesture. I mean every word entirely, he said. I will prove it across as many months as you require, and in front of as many people as it takes. I will call on you tomorrow and the day after, and I will take you driving where all the district can see. And I will keep on until the last person in this county understands that the Duke of Blackden did not settle, that he searched a whole season for the one woman worth the whole of his heart, and found her under a copper beech, and came for her, only her, always and only her. The tears spilled over then, and she let them, and she did not look away from him. They always ask after my sisters, she whispered. I know, Marcus said, I never will. I do not think I could tell you their names just now if my life hung on it. And Prudence Ellison laughed, a real laugh, startled out of her, bright as struck crystal. And across the ballroom her sisters and her astonished mother and the whole staring county heard it, and saw the plain middle daughter laughing up at the great Duke of Blackden, as though a window had opened in her after 4 dark years, and understood that they had all, every one of them, been looking at the wrong sister the whole time. He courted her openly, exactly as he had promised. He came the next day and the day after. He took her driving where the district could see. And he stood up with her at every ball and danced with no one else. And when the matrons who had asked her for 4 years about Arabella and Cecily began suddenly to ask instead about Prudence, she answered them with the same grace she had always shown, and Marcus at her side watched her do it and loved her more. They were married in the autumn at the little church near Blackden Hall, and Prudence walked down the aisle not as anyone's plainer sister, but as the woman a duke had crossed a crowded room to claim in front of the world. Her sisters wept and meant it, and Cecily told her, with genuine chastened warmth, that she had never in her life been more astonished or more glad to be proved a fool. At Blackden Hall there was thereafter a copper beech planted in the garden, brought north as a slip from Lord Wenlock's tree, and beneath it a small stone bench where the Duke and Duchess of Blackden would sit together on fine evenings. He liked to remind her sometimes of the afternoon he had first seen her there under the original tree, forgotten by everyone but him. They asked after your sisters for 4 years, Marcus said once, an old and cherished jest between them, and never once thought to ask after you. Someone came for me in the end, Prudence answered, and leaned her head against his shoulder in the evening light. Only me. That is all a person needs, I find, for one person, out of the whole staring world, to come for them. And you did. I did, said the Duke of Blackden, and I would cross that room again this instant. I would cross 1,000 of them. There was never anyone in any of them but you.